Hey, ghoul friend. It's me, Adrian, or Aiden. Either way, I am still your host, and you are still listening to Susto, the podcast of paranormal folklore from Latin American cultures. Welcome back to another episode. If this is your first time, welcome. Hey, you made it in the nick of time because check it out. We are in our new space. We are in Austin Publix Studios, and this is the first episode. So just for full transparency, this episode is being recorded way ahead of time just because we had the time, we had the opportunity. We have an amazing guest for this episode. However, there may be other episodes that release before this one that are also recorded here. I just want to, set up the timelines, the IRLs and all that. This is the first actual episode that we're recording in this space. I am so excited. But with that being said, since the timing is, kind of out of order, make sure that you are following at Susto Podcast on every social media platform for the most up-to-date on all things Susto. As always, please continue to send in your own scary stories using the submit story button on sustopodcast.com. It's also in the description below of this episode. You can always send in your written stories, a photo, video, an EVP, anything that you think is spooky that I should share either on social media or a Letters from the Beyond episode. Please make sure to send those in to me. And a final reminder, you can get early ad-free access to episodes and other bonus content by visiting sustoplus.com. With all of that out of the way, let's get into today's very special episode. I am so excited. This really has been a long time coming, as with many guests. I meet amazing people doing this work, and then we're like, hey, let's get together, let's do something. And, we get busy. We're all people, right? Living our lives. We get busy. But I'm very excited today to have Sara Reeves, who is a intuitive and does amazing work in the metaphysical community here in Austin, Texas. So you all are in for a real treat. We had an amazing conversation today. I'm very excited for y'all to hear more from her. Please welcome to Susto, to your ears, wherever you are listening, Sara Reeves. First off, I want to say thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
It's about time, right?
It is.
It is.
We've been talking about
this.
It.
Yeah. Every time we see each other, we're like, we got to do this. Like, we got to get together. We got to talk, get on the pods. And then, life just happens.
Life just goes. Yeah, but it's okay. We found a time. Universe said
exactly.
Right now.
The timing is right. I feel like it's meant to be something that's going to happen. And hey, we're here in this incredible space now.
Right.
So I think it's very much... It was meant to happen.
It was meant
here,
to happen. It was meant to happen.
I wasn't going to have you in my little tiny home office guest room studio.
I wouldn't have minded one way or the other.
Thank you so much. Well, for listeners, for viewers who may not know what you do, can you please share what you're all about, what being an intuitive is about, and what your work looks like?
Oh, it's craziness. It's a lot of fun. So I am Sara Reeves. I am an intuitive here working out of Austin area, I guess, if we look at it everywhere. Being an intuitive, what I do is mostly teach now, because I really found that my journey to be where I am at now was really hard to do. It was hard to find information. It was hard to find the right people, the language, all the technical language behind the metaphysical framework. And, are you clairvoyant? Are you a psychic? Are you a medium? Are you a thing? Right? Really understanding how it all fits together was hard. It was a lot harder to find supporting information for things that I already understood I knew how to do, but needed the guidance of what the experience was fully like for somebody who had been doing it for much longer than me, right? It was just one of those things. And so I decided, I need to teach, because I share anyway, right? I like to share the FYI, you can do this fun thing I just learned, right? And it just kind of came into the natural bounce. So I just was fortunate to meet Stephen through my husband, right? Who was like, our house is haunted. Yeah. Can we...
And we will be hearing more about that later. Yeah. So is that kind of how you got your foot in the door, so to speak, with like the metaphysical community here in Austin? Because you are Austin based. We're both in Austin. Right. Hence why we see each other out and about a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I want to hear more about that. So it sounds like that was kind of your foot in the door was haunted
Yeah,
house. Who can
meeting.
I
Yeah,
talk
I've
to
got
about
a haunted
this?
house. What do I do? And that was really mostly my husband finding out,
Mhm.
finding Steven's team early on, when they were young and cute and adorable. They were all still in college, right? And it was a great moment of a reminder of, remember, you could do this, right? Remember that you could do this. You just started blocking it off. I had kids, right? I had kids and a life and, been married, we moved, like all these things. And I had not understood that it had always been the intuitiveness had been part of the culture, part of the way that I grew up, and was always accepted, but then also made fun of, right, at the same time.
Mhm.
So it was really kind of fun. It was like,
Yeah.
initially, it was like, eres una bruja,
Yeah.
right? Oh my goodness. And then later on, it was like, oh yeah, can you look at this thing? Because,
Yeah,
it
I
was
need
really
some
kind
help
of I
actually.
need some help. And so it was really strange to remember that that's what the foundation of who I
Mhm.
was, and then to understand how do I pull it out, isolate it
Mhm.
for myself. And I think being able to pull it out, get the education, isolate, find the information of the label of what it was that I did,
Mhm.
that was the journey that I needed to kind of really understand that, and building my own belief system, right,
Yeah.
to behind it. Alexis was great. Alexis Sorredondo from City Alchemist was, like, I'm going to say, the first official mentor that I had,
Mhm.
where he understood to say, historically, go look at it. Go look at it from your historical culture. Go back and look at your family. Go see the stories and identify these stories as not stories, but part of teaching you your intuition.
Mhm.
So he was probably the one that put me onto the path of understanding in that way. And, Elaine Ireland was the one who just said, honey, you're already doing it. Just go. Right. So it was just really fun to get somebody who'd been working in the industry much longer than I have
Mhm.
to recognize and go, yeah, just go, just keep going.
Yeah.
Right. So that was really fun. So the combination of those two people really launched where I'm at today. And Stephen just put me into the public eye.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And allowed me to just be me. I
Mhm.
wasn't, it wasn't like, here's your gimmick or here's your thing. He was like, we're going to go help someone. You want to come? And I went, yeah,
Yeah,
let's do it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You were talking a bit about like kind of honing those abilities, and you talked about in the past sort of like diminishing it or trying to put a cap on those
Yeah.
abilities, especially as a kid. And I can imagine when I talk to other people who have honed again those abilities, like when they were children, that experience being maybe frightening just because it was unknown at the moment. But you say that in your words, at some point the metaphysical refused to be ignored.
Yeah.
What was that point for you? Like, what did that, was there any one experience? Was it just a culmination where you finally decided, like, all right, I need to fully embrace this and go for it?
I think it was just a moment of being a little lost. And I think that's usually most, if I air quote the awakening, right word, happen because you are a little lost.
Mhm.
Somewhere you found yourself going, what is happening in my life right now? Like, what am I not looking at? And I think in our family at the moment, there was so many emotional things happening, so many different changes going on in all of us, that it just kicked off this crazy sensation inside that was like, this is not me, right?
Mhm.
Like, I just looked at everything in a completely different light and said, this is not where I want to be, but I need to know where. And it took me a little bit to understand, because I was looking external for the answer, right? Everybody does
Mhm.
that, I think. Now I think society teaches us to do that, right? Oh, you're not happy, go look external, go look here, go look out. Everything is out. And it was the first moment that I realized the answer is not out, it's in.
Mhm.
And it has always been there. I was just ignoring it because I didn't want to hear the truth behind it. I didn't want to feel like I had made a mistake, or that I had, I was too far from the redemption of my life, right? I needed to be able to build it in there. And that came as an existential spiritual crisis for me.
Mhm.
And I fought so hard against it, right? Because I was like, no, I don't want to do the Catholic things. And no, I don't want to do that. I was just fighting against the grain that I had grown up with,
Mhm.
instead of remembering that I embraced only certain pieces. And the certain pieces were okay to bring in as long as they felt good to me.
Yeah.
And then just ignore the other ones, right? Like the other ones that don't make sense. Well, they don't make sense until they do, or they just never do.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of that one emotional, pivotal, great big point in our life, was what changed the direction of where I looked.
Yeah.
Right. But it was a lot of things. It was many losses in a short period of time frame. It was relationship issues that we had internally from Renee and I, watching our children get into an age where we were going to, I say, be discarded as parents, right? When it's time for them to kind of fly out of the nest. So that it was like just a brink of change that we had to address, right? Or I had to address in the moment.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, you mentioned the Catholicism. Did you have a religious upbringing,
Oh
like when
God,
you were a
yeah.
kid? Yeah. What was that like?
I call it the religious strange ping pong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we come from like a heavily Hispanic family, right? So I grew up in Catholicism all the way. You know, you're 7, you must do your Holy First Communion. You're in your teens, you gotta go to catechism. You've got to do the things. But I was very much not necessarily against it. I was really good at pointing out the hypocrisy of it.
And they love that.
Yeah,
They love that.
that was such a loving moment in
Yeah.
my life where I was like, well, you said this, but you're doing that,
Yeah.
right? So it was one of those things. But at the same time, I also was so enamored by the belief system. Like there were certain pieces of it that I just brought in and knew, yes, that works. But not only did I grow up in the Catholic environment, the charismáticos as well, right? My mom was part of the charismatic group that was more like an indigenous healing group, which was crazy, right? They would have people, they'd be like, oh, this person's not doing well. And they would get the neighborhood ladies all together and sit them in the middle of the living room. And then we would surround them and sing and move and feed them and, douse them with whatever, right? Whatever was there, and beat them with herbs and do all this stuff to draw out whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And that was part of how we grew up. We had a curandera that was a grandmother for us and taught down these things as part of everyday life, not part of her curanderismo practice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you're sick, strap the potatoes on, right? Or you're this, you do the things. And she would teach us with scary stories, right? Like, we were like, oh, la está la llorona, or mira el cucuy, or, all the things that we grew up with, all these weird stories that blend. No, when I go back and look, it's a blend of indigenous story and that in that time, that modern culture view for them. They blended it together to teach us lessons.
Yeah.
And still weaved in like, oh, if you take, ginger, it draws out pain. Or if you do that, like it was all kind of weaved in on top of there is only one God, right? And you believe in Jesus and do the thing. And it was just crazy. It was a crazy mix of belief. And I think that's why I have like this openness to it, right? Depending on what it is.
Like that folk Catholicism.
Yes, and I loved it.
I love it too. As someone who is like really expanded my own like beliefs and practices, I do find myself gravitating to some of those things, and I'm like, why can't I let go of it? But I don't know. I still don't have a solid answer for it. But it's always funny when I meet other people, especially other Latina people who are very into like spirituality and the metaphysical, and I'm like, Catholic, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Right.
But there's also something I think, just like I always say this, that there's like Catholicism, I think it's inherently like spooky. It's inherently scary,
Yeah.
Like it is, I believe it's a form, you could say it about many religions, but it's a form of like witchcraft, you gather with your congregation, your coven once a week, you sing, you pray, so you do spells, and there's all these rituals, and then you're eating symbolically the flesh and the blood of your deity, like,
right.
And then the whole time he's hanging up.
And he's just
right
hanging there, hanging out.
Literally hanging out. So I'm like, yeah, of course, many of us become interested in,
what it
the
is.
expanded version of this, the add-ons, the accessories to it.
Yeah, to me it was always like it's a unique creation story, right? That's kind of how I look at it. And then when we're looking at it, life before Jesus, right? Great creation story, kind of this way that early on humans would have to explain their life. That was hard back then, right? And it was hard back then, and still trying to keep order. And then, add in Jesus, and it was like giving you this hope that none of that really was. It was hard, yes, but it's not set in stone. And I think that was the beauty behind saying it's not set in stone, and you don't have to look at others for that kind of leadership. You need to look within. And then what tells you inside, be kind to someone else. Just follow that, right? And I thought that was like such a simple way of looking at the world. But then when I started kind of looking at other cultures, when I got into my ministry and I started learning all of the things that built this story, the history behind why the story was built, right? It was like it was designed to control. It was designed to do weird stuff, right? As according to history. But every culture has this creation story that's so similar, that it has the similar love and the intention, and that they heal through plants, nature, each other. So I was like, this is not, it's not just one thing. It's all these things together. And everybody's meant to learn a story that keeps them on the straight and narrow, if you will, or keep them balanced within their own shadow frame, right?
Yeah.
So
I think especially now too, you kind of alluded to it just now about like people needing that hope. And I think that it has happened many times throughout history when things get really rough and really dicey. And we can say it now, you know, it's a really, really scary time. There's a lot of messed up stuff happening currently. And so I want to say I've seen something about that in a study, that anytime there's a spike in like negative sentiment or like strife, like communal strife in a nation, like the interest in religion and in spirituality, and specifically like the paranormal, there's a spike in it. Because people they're looking for answers. They're looking how to explain what is happening in the physical world, or they're looking, like you said, for that hope, for something to latch onto, that they can say, I can look away to this and look for greater meaning to what is happening.
Yep. Yeah. Or I can understand, what do I do? I think I come across a lot of that question with clients, with students. I can see that everything is in a disarray, right? Like the world is crazy right now, and it's weird because within our communities, we don't feel it because we don't think that way. But then we're being pumped full of the knowledge of everything around us saying, no, we are divided, or we are, this craziness is happening. And their need to want to do something surfaces. What do I do? They see themselves as, I'm this little drop in an ocean of water. And what can I do? And it's that sensation that it's like, now go within. Stop looking at what you can do externally. Go inside. And let the inside drive what you're going to do with the next drop of water next to you and the next one next to you, and keep it small. Eventually, there'll be so many pools of water, we just connect.
Yeah.
And that connection overwhelms the smaller connection of the bad that's going on. And I think it just vibrationally just shifts it. And then hope happens, right? So that's me just thinking that's how it's always worked.
Yeah.
The spikes are to unite the hope.
Yeah.
And then hopefully out of that, something big just trumps whatever's going on.
Yeah.
So historically, that's kind of what's happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And that sounds beautiful. I love that. We're going to take a break on that one.
Absolutely.
We are back.
Yay!
Speaking of intuition and me, for some reason, always calling out the name Mary to you. I don't know why I do that. But you have expressed before that intuition it's not as much of a gift that people might say it is, that everyone at some level has intuition, right? And there's probably a lot of people that may not understand that, or may deny it and say like, no, I don't have any of that ability.
You can't live if you don't have it.
Yeah,
you just
I want to hear more about that.
You can't survive it, right? Everybody is intuitive. It's just the level of intuition is dependent on what you want to pay attention to, right? So everybody's intuitive because we all have fight or flight. We all have the need to survive. We all have the need to understand. We want to live. We want to be okay. And we are going to rely on the environment to give us the signals that say you're okay, right? Or to say, hey, you're in danger, move this way. So if we think about removing the concrete, right, removing all the stuff that we're in now, and we put us out in the middle of fields and mountains and things, at that point, we are so reliant on listening to where the wind is moving, to hearing the crumpling of the ground for animals if we're hunting, right? If we're looking at those, we're using our intuitive skills to understand something that we cannot actually see yet, right? You're going, oh, wait, I hear the crumpling of this, the crumpling of that. But when you're out and hunting and out and looking, you're also looking for a secondary danger, right? Something that might creep up on you, or something that might give you a signal to do something. And we're designed to receive these signals. So the design of our intuition, it's there. Everybody has it. I look at what I do different from what someone else, right, who thinks that they're like, we're just normal. We don't have the things you can do. It's just the difference of me being able to pay attention and hone in, right? Kind of like a jogger, right? Oh, I'm going to jog. Joggers don't necessarily I'm going to go from jogging to the Olympics, but there are a few who do, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can run in some form, frame, or fashion, but some are just exceptional runners because they put all their love and all their passion into wanting to do that, and they hone in the craft, right? They just learn, and then they get to go to the Olympics while, Bob learns how to run around the block, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe just jog to the car, whatever their level is at. And I feel like, I'm almost Bob, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a little bit above Bob. I like to do some 4Ks every now and then, and then I stop. But it's truly just understanding that it depends on how you hone it in. And a medium and a psychic is just how your intuition receives information. It's not who you are, but how you do it. And that's a completely different thought process when you think about it. And all of those skill sets require practice, right? Natural ability is great, but if you add practice to that and understanding, it just kicks it up a little bit further.
Yeah, it sounds like being, more than anything, being like open and receptive and like literally listening, whether it's like you said, to like feeling sound, to your senses, and then that allows you to kind of like open up more internally.
Right.
How does someone begin to recognize, like you said, natural ability is great, and then you want to practice that and build on that? How would someone maybe begin to recognize their own intuitive abilities?
They would have to be really honest with themselves, right?
Yeah.
And besides the fear behind thinking that people think they're crazy, right? So they've got to move beyond to the point where it doesn't matter if somebody thinks they're crazy. They need to investigate why, right? Like why do I get these things, or how do I understand it? It's truly to listen to understand yourself, right? 90% of developing intuition is working on you, because once you can't lie to you, once you understand the difference in the voices in your head of the positive and negative voices, nothing can trick you at that point. At that point, you can isolate and go, whoa, that voice that I heard, that one was not mine. It didn't even use phrases that I understand. That was not me. Or I was fine 5 minutes ago, and suddenly now I have this emotion that just came from somewhere. I don't know where it came from. You have to be able to understand yourself to be able to allow other things in. And then accept that they're there. Be
like trusting yourself.
Trust it. Yeah, you've got to trust that, well, that was not my voice. And even if you just start off with, I just saw that. That was weird. I don't know what to do with it, but it's there. That's now you accepting something into your reality, even if you don't know what to do next with it.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, the more you're going to be able to seek knowledge. But it's your responsibility to seek that knowledge. Yeah. It's not my responsibility to seek it for you, right? So you've got to want to look at it and be honest and want to change, because doing this will change you. It will not only change you, but it'll change the relationships you have with all the people around you. And they're either going to accept that change and change with you, or they're not. Yeah. And they're going to move away from you, and you have to be ready for that. And I think that's the scariest part of developing intuition. Yeah.
It sounds like building that like security in oneself. You cannot have too much insecurity doing this work, especially when you share it with other people, because like you said, like you run that risk of people just being like, oh, well, they're just crazy.
They're just crazy, right? Just like, and then you can't get stuck in the prove it mode either, right? Which is one of those things that, you're like, oh yeah, prove it. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You have to understand that if you can do this, just trust the information flies out of your mouth and let it fly. Even if the person goes, no, none of that resonated with me, I promise you later on, they're going to be like, shit.
I was about to say, I have a friend who she does a lot of psychic work. She's a psychic. And I've had mutual friends who will say like, oh, I booked an appointment with so-and-so and they did this reading for me. And they're like, I don't know, like it didn't really make sense. And I'm like, okay, but I know this friend and like I'm confident in her abilities too. And so I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, well, maybe they're picking up on something else, whatever. A couple weeks go by and they're like, Aiden, holy shit, she was spot on. They're like, something happened. Yeah. They're like, I was wrong. Like, no, like they're like, she was totally right. I'm like, well, yeah, you just got to give it time sometimes. Like, it's not like an immediate.
It took me a bit working with clients because, working with places when, with Stephen and Alexis is very different than working with people, right? People are very unpredictable and there's like the energy is really odd. So being able to start with clients when I initially started, I had that nervous thing when I didn't get anything back.
Mhm.
You know, like I'd be talking and they'd just be like, sure,
Yeah.
whatever, right? And they'd be like, well, that was an interesting reading, right? Like kind of they would leave and I was like, fuck, okay,
Oof.
right? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just said whatever was there and I didn't let it kill the confidence, right? I
Mhm.
just kind of just went, well, that's what I got. Fuck it. You know, I don't know what's
Yeah.
happening. But they would then call me or email me weeks later or even months later to go, hey, you know that thing that I was an asshole about, right?
Yeah.
It did come true, right? Or you were on point. Or I talked to my grandmother and
Yeah.
she said that was so and so, and it was like almost exactly when she showed me the image,
Mhm.
and I was like, cool. So that gave me more confidence to just continue to run my mouth, right?
Yeah. I was about to say, I was like, I feel like I should maybe not ever do this because I am such an I told you so person. And I feel like spirit would be like, you need to stop behaving that
You need to
way.
stop.
So
Yeah.
good for you for not being like, well, look
Yeah, I
who
try
came
not
back.
to. I just kind of panicked until I hear from them, and then I go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was like, whew, it was good. I can keep going, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh. So one of your kind of like specializations is entity communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to talk about this one because I feel like for like the everyday person, for someone who maybe is not involved in this kind of work or this industry, this field, what have you, when they hear something like that, I think their immediate thought is like something like in the movies. It's like, oh, you can talk to dead people. You can talk to ghosts.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to hear from you what that actually looks like in practice and like when someone comes to you for that sort of work. Because that was, as I was going through your website, that was the one where I was like, I feel like this would be the one that would probably catch people's attention right away and be like, oh, like she can do this. What is this? So how would you
She can do this. What is
right
what is this that she can do?
right exactly how would you describe that kind of work?
It's different every time. So it's kind of I'll give you the, I guess the running pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the best way to put it, right? Um, it's dependent, and we're going to focus on, let's just say, when I am out and about, right, in areas.
Mm-hmm.
In areas, it's for me, it's easier to pick up the energy of another entity or something that's there because they're willing to want to talk, right? They're maybe it's been quiet too long or nobody's been listening to them, and they tend to come in with the use of the energy around them. So when they come in, I can experience it either as a physical view of energy moving through the room. Like I can see that it's there, either a watery outline or a snap of a picture that happens in my head. And for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, that snap has so much detail, even though it was a quick flash, there's so much detail to it and sometimes even a story behind it that I can grab and understand how to tie it together.
Mm-hmm.
But the story is never a straight line. It's
Yeah.
always these pockets of little pieces of other pictures that I have to understand how to string together. And that was probably the hardest thing to learn, is understanding how to string it together without my bias,
Mm-hmm.
right? With just kind of openly there. And then I realized, oh, I can back and forth. You can show me a string of pictures and I can concentrate on just one picture and say, this picture, can you tell me more about that? And then another wave of energy will come in and give me different things. But the experience could be something that's all cranial, right? All in my head, all in my mind's eye. I can see the movie kind of happening, slow it down and bring it back. Or it could be me sitting down like we are today and me not even understanding that what I'm connecting to is even dead,
Mm.
right? I've had those experiences where I've had these full conversations thinking the person was there alive with me and they were not.
Yeah.
So it took me years' time to understand, to look for the missing things.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have feet? Can I, are their eyes like really present, or can I see through them? Are they missing pieces of their shoulder? Like I had to really pay attention to the detail of what was sitting in front of me to go, this is real,
Yeah.
but it's dead, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
here. And the reactions of other people, right? Sometimes people would walk by and look at me like, what's up with this crazy lady?
Is she on Bluetooth?
What's
What's
happening, right? I'm like, oh, okay. And then sometimes it's something I just suddenly understand. Like I understand that the room looked different, or I understand that there should have been a wall there, or there's an understanding, and I don't know how to explain that one in an easy way, because I can feel it in my body, almost like a memory, instead of me having a conversation with another entity.
Yeah.
So it's just dependent on what the entity is, who it is, how long they've been passed, or are they here on this plane, or are they in the next one, right? There's a lot of little things that come into that. And
Yeah.
it took me a bit to hone it in. But people who have, I'm going to say, who are neurodivergent, right, that do have things like ADHD or something, they tend to be able to do this so well, but they also are the first ones to second guess themselves because they put the pictures of those pieces in quick succession. They can go, right, see it and go, this is the story. But then they second guess it because they did it so fast,
Yeah.
right? So it's like a really interesting thing to watch them work
Yeah.
because they are grabbing pieces of energy, putting the story together, and then they rewrite it and they write it and they rewrite it and they write it. And that's
Yeah.
what gets the second guessing in.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
I wish we had a camera in the control room because I can feel Jeff smiling, laughing right now at me.
He's going, see?
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I wanted to ask this question because I know, or I assumed that it would be different from encounter to encounter.
Yes.
It's never gonna be the same every time, and I think that's what's important for people to understand is like you cannot just, you know, I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't know why the image of like draping a mannequin. You cannot just like drape something on a mannequin and it's going to look the same every time.
Nope.
When you toss it, it's going to look different every single time. So I don't know if that
no,
metaphor
yeah,
made sense,
absolutely.
but
It's going to look different not only every time to you, but if I travel with someone else, travel with another intuitive, they're going to be sensitive to different vibrations than I am. So their experience, we could be in the same room, in the same location, in the same space. Their experience could be completely different from mine because of what their energy is willing to bring in, right? Versus what I'm willing. So I never really cast off and never say, no, you're wrong. I just go, give me more, because then maybe I can find the same thread and then follow the same direction, right? Sometimes it's not my find, it's somebody else's find, right? And depending on the external person trying to find the information, one of us is going to be right. But there'll always be this weird little baseline between us. Like, here was this thing. And then we branch off from there. So it's never the same, not from person to person, nor every time I've had the experience. What I memorize is the vibration of the pattern of the way that it feels to know, oh, that's a ghost versus, that's an elemental spirit. That's something that's in nature versus, ooh, that's something more divine, right? So it's knowing that pattern.
Yeah. And knowing how to like hand off, you know, the baton when someone else is involved. The spiritual baton. I feel like I want to say it was a long time ago that I listened to that episode. That happened on an episode with the Night Owl, right? Where it was you and there was someone else, another intuitive, where you all maybe like picked up on something similar, but in a different way.
Yeah, we've done different things. And that's happened between me and Elaine. That's happened. And she wasn't even there. She was just consulting in. So we got the baseline, but then she branched off to one thing while I branched off into something else. Jeffrey, it's happened. You know, Kate the Brave, it's happened. We've been together in again, same place, same space, different things, right? Different things that we all received. And it's not a question of, oh, well, this one's right or this one's wrong. It's more of a question of what energy am I in tune to, right? I'm in tune to a lot of energy of people who seem to be lost, misguided, or they never really found their place. That's the kind of energy that is attracted to me, where others might be, it's more about the nature of the space. The wood talks to them, the house talks to them, the thing, you know, they're looking at it in a different perspective. So some it's plants, right? Things like that. So it just depends on the person.
All right. We're going to take a quick break on that one.
Absolutely.
And we are back. So, Sarah, as you know, this show, I tend to focus a lot on stories that are very specific to a culture or to maybe to like a set of cultures, right? And like you mentioned earlier, you heard some of the stories growing up, you know, like La Llorona, Cucuy, a lot of these like disciplinary legends, right? So I know that you are familiar with Susto as a concept of like a folk illness. Have you encountered in your work people who you would maybe diagnose as suffering from Susto, and have you ever had to like remedy that before?
Yeah. I come across it a little bit more often than I care to admit. It is more often, and remedying it is difficult because you first have to change the mind of the person, right? Once somebody believes something in them wholeheartedly, to get them to see a different perspective is extremely difficult, right? It's really understanding how to jolt the energy into a different vision. So when somebody suffers from Susto, you first have to work with understanding why they're holding on to that concept. Understood that it's a deep, like sometimes it's a deep fear, but it's deep fear that makes us feel powerless, or that we didn't have the correct protection in our mind's eye. So you have to build that trust back into themselves by shaking it out of them, essentially, right? To really just go, is this what you really believe is real? To let go of the nervous system, right? Let the energy go. It's to me, I always look at it in my head as when somebody's suffering from Susto, it's like a possum, right? When possums that play dead and they just just lay there, and then once they understand that the danger is lost, they kind of start waking up a little bit, and then they kind of look around like, is it safe? Could I make my run? They'll make their run, they'll leave, they'll escape, and once they understand they're safe, what they do is they shake out the energy of that frame. They play possum so that their body doesn't feel the damage when something starts to eat them, right? They're essentially half killing themselves. With us, when we get scared, the same thing can happen. We essentially put ourselves in a state of almost being half dead to survive the pain of whatever is going to happen next, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain. When it is spiritual pain, like a ghost scared the shit out of you, right? Or I had this moment, it's still the same response. You're still locked into the fear of not understanding how to defend yourself, and also not allowing someone to help you. It's the craziest thing. And so working with that person, it has to happen it's just not going to happen right away. It has to happen in a way for you to understand first, why did they wrap their fear and concept around what was happening, and then getting them to understand how much more powerful they are to be able to shake it off into something else. It's not as simple, black and white, but belief is so strong. It can heal you or it can kill you, depending on how willing you are to hold on to it.
It's reminding me of when I was younger. I got very, very sick, and like to the point of like I needed like to be rushed to an emergency room. But before we got to that point, we went to the curandera that lived on the other side of the block, and she had like this remedio for us, and she's like, this is what's happening. But even like before I even got to like go to do the ritual that she had set for me, I experienced that sort of like paralysis where you're like, like I'm like I don't know what to do, I don't know what to believe, I don't know how to like get better, I don't know how to let go, and so it took a lot of eventually I was able to go get medical attention, which I always tell people, like, seek it from every angle, approach it from every angle. So I was able to go get the medical attention that I needed, but then I realized that there was still a lot of like spiritual work that needed to be done and spiritual healing, and so that's I was able to like seek out those things. But shout out to that one nurse at Nat Medical. I wish I remembered her name. I remember I had pneumonia, and for some reason, like, they were taking a long time to bring like the nebulizer, like the breathing treatment, and I was starting to panic because I couldn't breathe. And this woman, she walked in, she was like, "What's going on?" My mom tried to explain to her, and she like immediately grabbed my mom's hand. I'm gonna try not to cry, but she just like put her hands over me, and she started praying. But I was like, I've never seen or felt someone pray this way. And it literally felt like fire.
Yeah.
And I was just like my breath came back to me, and I don't know if it was like a distraction, if it was truly like, I believe that she was tapping into something else. But it was wild. That is the only time I've ever experienced something like that, like the intensity of it, like how hard she was like speaking. And like I could feel every word like going through me. And I never saw her again. I was there for 2 weeks. I saw her that one time, and I was like, I wish I could find this woman and be like, what did you do to me? Like, how did you do that?
It's really going back to kind of some indigenous belief systems where, there are indigenous belief systems that say there's a soul in everything that we look at, right? Animals have a medicine that we need. Plants have a medicine that we need. The earth has a medicine that we need. But we are always neglecting the fact that we as humans have the medicine that another human needs as well.
Oh, wow.
And we don't count ourselves in part of that framework, right? For some reason, they told us, well, you're more elite, or you have this thing, you're be above that, but you're not. You're an animal just like that, with a soul just like that can heal someone else just like that. You have to be willing to want to help that person in that moment, understanding that it doesn't matter what I believe and what you believe. The goal is heal. Mm-hmm. And if we're both leading to the same goal in the whatever we believe in, that's what sparks the energy that heals, right? But it heals everything. Your physical frame, your mental frame, your spirit frame, all of that is connected. And we can do that for each other. We can do great harm, or we can do great good. It's all on how you direct that energy. Yeah. And sustos can be healed with just that, just the energy of that other person, mixing with the belief that you are going to get better and that it is going to go away. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Gives you hope.
Again, yeah, hope. Yeah. I just got chills. So I want to talk more about your work with Metaphysical You.
Yeah.
As I like to call it, the metaphysical universe, because you've created this like community.
Everything with a U is in it, right?
No, you really have created this like this space, so to speak. And so you founded Metaphysical You partly because, as you mentioned in other places, that you felt like other places maybe used fear and mystery as like a way to gatekeep, you know, this knowledge and this like inner power that people can tap into. What else motivated you to create Metaphysical You?
That was like the top of my heart, right? To be able to do that. I think also the lack of community. I ran across so many people wanting to learn and wanting to get in there, but they didn't have, they didn't support. Like I really feel like I was blessed to have the support, even though it was, it was the traditional Hispanic support. You're crazy, but still something's there, right?
You're crazy, but can you just a candle for me?
Yeah, please, right? So it was, I had the support of understanding that it was a real part of the world where others don't, right? They come from like an extremely strict belief system background from their family or none at all. Yeah. And this kind of thing was just crazy. And if they were to say, hey, I just saw this floating ahead, this other day I was having this conversation with this guy that's been dead for 100 years, other people would be like, oh, maybe some commitment is needed here, right? Something's going on. But to build a community where you could come in and say that, and nobody's going, you're fucking crazy. Everybody's going, wait, hold on. Were you like meditating or were you like reading the back? How exactly? Because we're going to try to replicate it, see if we can do it ourselves. That is probably the best thing. And to also hear someone else's story that is almost exactly yours and how they handled it. It's amazing what it does to people to be able to go, shit, this is a real, it's not just me. This is a real thing. And to have that community and that support as you grow in whatever level you're in, it's awesome, right? And so for me, Metaphysical You isn't just about learning. It's also about forming this safe space of community for anyone who is understanding that this is a safe space of community and that their perspective, no matter how other people would see it as obscure, we see it as like a little treasure, right? A little nugget of information that, wow, I never would have thought somebody would believe that. Tell me why, right? And really exploring the belief system of others instead of holding hostage and saying, if you don't believe like me, then something's wrong with you. It's understanding the baseline again, right? That's, the community baseline is to give each other the support. The belief systems are what's different. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So just so people understand like this, and we'll plug everything, of course, at the end. Metaphysical You, there's courses that people can, and there's time that people can book with you online. But I think what is really, really special, and I'm going to save up my dollars to try and go, maybe not this year, but next year, is the Metaphysical Uninhibited. Which is
the seminar.
The seminar, yes. Yeah. It's a day-long seminar, like you're saying, where you can spend that time with like-minded people.
I go out of my way to get speakers in every genre of metaphysical that I can get, right? So we'll theme it for the day, and then I will find somebody who's practicing it. And the caveat for me is you can be on, but you have to be willing to teach. You have to be willing to listen to somebody's questions, no matter how far-fetched it is, about your specialty, and be willing to share the information just at a base level. It doesn't have to be like this super advanced thing. It could just very well be like, I started here, and go there and hold that space. It is true learning. It's not just listening to somebody give you their story, but listening to somebody and how they used their practice, how they learned their practice, and you pick their brain, right? If you're a death doula, you want to know about that. If you're in curanderismo, you want to learn that. If you're in paloma hombre, you want to understand what that is, that it's not a danger to everybody, or it's not doing. We've got people who were exorcists and all kinds of stuff that have been speakers.
Yeah.
It's really understanding how to get knowledge. And that seminar, it's literally all day knowledge, all day community. I strive to make it a little small and intimate, because then we learn a little bit better like that.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. I'm just glad that this year we'll be at Nature's Treasures, which is amazing.
That's so exciting.
It's amazing.
Yeah, there's this like sense of accessibility, that doesn't always happen, because people can pay, $100 out of their pocket to go to events or what have you, or they can go to free events, but the knowledge isn't always accessible. It's people are, and it's fine. Sometimes it's okay to go to things like this, and I think it's maybe what people need sometimes. It's more than they need, but I think there is definitely the opportunity, and you have, I think, taken the opportunity to make these things accessible to people who are seeking it out beyond sitting in a presentation, which again I think is great. People love it,
but to interact,
and to actually like learn and to have that back and forth, and like you said, in an intimate setting, again, that sense of accessibility, I think it's really important. That's something that you're providing, because not everything is as accessible as I think it should be.
Right. And to ask, right? It was hard for me to be able to ask questions developing, because people were like, they were gatekeeping the answer, right? They were like, oh, sure, look, I'll give you the free stuff, but you're going to have to pay me $500 to give you that answer, right? And then when you find out the answer after paying it, you're like, shit, I already knew what that was, right? You're like, all mad, right? Like, damn it. So it's really, I wanted it to be accessible, because this is everyone. Everyone is intuitive. Everyone has the right to at least found the foundation of it. And then if they want to pay thousands of dollars to specialize, well, that's on them, right? Like, knock themselves out. But let them at least first understand the concept, the baseline of it. Ask questions of the people who are doing it, just stop gatekeeping. Just give it to them. Gatekeep the crazy advanced things that you really know that can cause harm to that person if they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay, right? Let them build into that. But initially, just answer what they've got. Say it give them your perspective of how you were developing and what was going on. It will help shape them better. And that shouldn't be, with a huge price tag on it. And again, the community is what's important. Don't, when you shut somebody out, or you say, no, this is a closed practice, or when you do that, you're already creating a disconnect in the community, and that doesn't make sense. This is, everybody's going through it, so the community has to be large enough to support everyone. So that's what the U in there, right? It's the united for me. It's a university for others. It's the you as a person. It's the you as the person. That's the reason for it.
Right? I love that. So we have mentioned them a bit, the conversation about the Night Owl podcast and your work on them. Major shout out to them, even though they always win podcast of the year.
I don't know. I feel like one day.
It's like one day I'll try again. One day I'll try again. We'll see. No, but I do love them, and I do love listening to that show. And you've done paranormal investigations with the team there. Yeah. I'm curious what your thoughts are on what do you think is interesting to the average person about, and I say average person not in like an insulting way, but maybe someone who's not involved directly in the work. What is interesting to people about a haunting or about ghosts? Like, what do you think is like, why do people keep coming back to these stories, or why are they so into hauntings or alleged hauntings?
I think it's the possibility, right? I think it always, and I say the possibility because it'd be the possibility of everything. It could be the possibility of the fear. Oh my God, that demon could be real, right? The possibility of the fear. Also, it's the possibility that there really is connection after death, right? That possibility is very intriguing to have a tangible something to answer that, because we're so obsessed with it, right? We want to live forever. So we do our supplements and we work out and we do the things and everything that we are looking at externally to extend our lives. But I think when you find the paranormal stories, they fulfill two things. Again, the possibility of that love, that hope, that continuation of knowing this is not the last thing, or understanding, or the possible fear of what happens if I don't get my shit together and I get stuck here. Right? So it's just that crazy, just the sense of just that possibility. And I think that's what's extremely intriguing about it. When people just don't understand that experience in this world, whether it's good or bad, in the spiritual world, it hits you personally. Right? Even if you're just watching it on TV and you're watching someone else go through it, something about hearing that story taps something inside of you that changes you or forces you to change your perspective, or the very possibility that it could happen goes, damn, what do I do with it? Instead of fanning fear, then maybe just a little bit of understanding would be better. But, whatever, it is what it is. So I think it just gives them that thought process of possibility.
Yeah. Or an answer.
An answer.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had a moment? I feel like there's a misconception. I'll speak for myself when people ask me about these things and they'll say, well, oh, you must not be scared of, of any of this. Right. And for me, it varies, right? Like with the scary movie, I can handle a scary movie. I'm usually good unless it's like really scary, maybe more than someone who's not into that. But for like actual, like in-person, real life, encounters with the paranormal, I do get a little spooked by that. I get a little frightened here and there. So I'm curious, have you had any frightening experiences?
I've had many frightening experiences.
Okay, would you be able to share one?
And I'd be like
us?
this, thank you, Stephen Ballou, for scaring the living shit into me. I appreciate it. But no, there's a lot of scary moments, right? There's a lot of scary moments. It was hard with Night Owl because Stephen never really told me where we were going. And so just even the drive to where they would make me meet them, right? I could feel that there was something that I needed to pay attention to, or something that was going on, and I'm like, God damn it, where's he taking me now, right? Then it's like every moment could be terrifying. It's not a big deal, right? Every time I go in there, I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna find, but it's what you do despite of the fear. I think I'm gonna say my favorite scary moment was when I was invited to go out to Yorktown Hospital locally, and we spent the night, right? We spent the night there. And we had this great encounter with a few entities, and they had a REM pod in the middle of a hallway, and the hallway is dark. There's no electricity in this place, no bathrooms, no running water. And we're talking to this REM pod. The REM pod's beeping back. And then we were like, we should move the REM pod somewhere else. And there's like 10 people down this long hallway, and they're like, who's going to move it? Not me, right? And I was just like, well, I'll go move it. It's fine, right? And just walking up towards it, my mind is just going, look, don't fucking crawl up on me. Don't come, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, be fucking nice. I'm just moving the REM pod.
Yeah, I'm minding my business
minding
over here.
my own business. Just kind of like, and it was terrifying, yes, walking through there, but I still did it despite the fact, moved it around, and I could just see the shadows like retreating. And I'm like, I'm just pushing it over here. Okay, run, right, like down the hallway. I'm trying to keep my shit together. Yeah. But it is a terrifying thing, because you really don't know 100% what you're walking into until you interact with it. And then you have to have the confidence of being able to interact with it and know how to get yourself out of it, right? This is where learning your limitations is really important, right? I'm very happy to know just the right amount of people to be like, I think I'm possessed. Can you
Yeah. Help me out here. Scratch my back, please.
Can you help me? Beat me with some eucalyptus or something, get this off. So like I'm fortunate enough to have like a good network of people to be able to do that and to send other people to. But you've got to have that strength in your belief system to just be like, despite the fear, I'm going to do it, right? It doesn't matter. But it's not easy. It's not easy to walk into something and be like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. We're going to take one last quick break. All right, we are back. So really quick on that last thing, and also I feel like generally the idea of like community has come up a lot right now in this conversation, and so I'm curious about what you would say to someone who is maybe interested in, like we mentioned, honing those abilities or embracing them, but maybe someone who is skeptical or scared even. Do you have advice for them, or maybe even more about like you just mentioned, when you're going into a scary situation, you want to make sure that you have someone else that you can lean on and say, hey, I might need help with something.
Yeah.
Do you have words of wisdom for folks who are interested in that?
If you're starting off, I would tell you, seek the knowledge, seek the right person you want to learn from, right? Really seek them out. Don't take at face value what someone says, right? Really take the information in, write it down, mull it over, right? Get it out of your head onto something that's black and white, and then give yourself a minute to ask, is this true, right? Really understanding to trust that something inside of you will tell you yes or no, the answer. The other thing is, as you begin to develop and you start looking, because a lot of people start off self-developing, they're looking for books or, things, information as you're going. And again, find the book on the topic, but go down to where it started. Find the oldest book you can find on the topic, and then work your way forward into the modern thinking. It will completely change how you look at something when you do that. If you're just taking something from surface and face value and say that's the law, that already is setting you up for failure. Right? Nobody's perfect and nobody is right. It's all theoretical. Everything, all of it. Right? Even what I do, I don't ever say, oh no, I'm right. I just go, I'm good until somebody shows me that I'm not.
Yeah.
So understand that you are also just good until somebody shows you that you're not. You're not perfect and you're not right. So the moment you can accept that and embrace it, the better you're going to build. And no matter what, you cannot do this alone. You have to create a community for yourself. You have to create some type of support system with you, and you must feed your belief system. If your belief system is weak, you're always going to walk in fear. And I see this a lot with students where they're like, I want to have more experiences. And then when they start having them, they're Palo Santoing everything and spraying with agua florida and bathing and, baptism water, right? Or whatever it is to try to get it off. And I'm like, well, you asked for it. Why the hell are you?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yes. Chingo, right? So it's really understanding, be cautious about what you're asking for. It will come in a big, weird way, right? And then you're going to be like, what the hell just happened? Yeah. And just say, that happened. Okay, that happened. I asked for it. Cool. I don't know what I'm doing. Let me go get some help. It's perfectly fine. You know. So we have really great opportunities. If you want to learn with us, we have free ways to start. We've got the free Wednesday. We meet every Wednesday, and we have for the last 6 years, have met every single Wednesday and allowed people from the public to just come in and ask questions, right? People who don't do this practice as a practice, people who are just curious and want to listen, they come in and they I'll ask, what do you guys want to talk about today? You tell me. I'm not going to teach you anything. You're going to ask me, and we're going to go, and we're all going to learn from each other. And it's such a fun, safe environment to be able to do that. Even if you're just listening, you don't have to participate, even though I sometimes will volunteer you, right? But you can always just be like, no, I'm going to pass, right? And that's fine. But it's the idea of even just listening to the community and listening to their perspective can help quite a bit with your development. Yeah. So, and I don't know if there's any other places that do that, but I know for sure we do. So, and it's open.
Where can people find information about these meetups?
You can definitely go onto our website. So that metaphysicalU.com, right? The letter U.com. And right in the front, when you see it, you're going to see that says click here on a Wednesday night. Just click. Wednesday night at 8. That's where we are.
Thank you so much for being here today. If people wanted to follow you online, if they wanted to book for a session for the seminar, where can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find us at www.metaphysicaltheletteru.com. You can always find us there. You can also find our podcast at MP Unleashed. It's one of those things that we love to do, and we're on every platform that you can find us in. Or you can grab me on Instagram, both Metaphysical U Austin or at sarah.r.reeves. I'm there as well. So.
Well, thank you once again.
Absolutely.
So much for being here, and thank you all for tuning in today.
Don't forget the seminar is September 26th. You have plenty of time.
There will be links for everything in the description of this episode. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back, Wolf friends. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Once more, you can share your scary stories by visiting sustopodcast.com and clicking the submit story button. The link is also in the episode description below. Send in your photos, videos, EVPs, your written stories. I will share them either on a Letters from the Beyond episode or on social media, which you got to make sure you're following. It's at Susto Podcast on every platform for any and all updates on the show. And you can support Susto by leaving positive ratings, reviews, and comments wherever you are listening. You can also support Susto and gain access to bonus content by visiting sustoplus.com. Speaking of, thank you to this episode's patron saints. You are Liza, Rachel, Alejandra, Luther, April, D, Josette, Mandy, Lori, Jeannie, Desiree C, Ashes, Neressa, Rachel A, Azucena, Marlene, Chata, Lainey, Desiree A, Ricardo, Vanessa, Maritza, Manormal, Iris, Flor, Selena, Nightingale, Clint, Rachel W, Armani, and Bianca. Thank you all so much. You make this show possible. You make it possible to produce Susto in a space like this. This is like a full-on studio. Again, check it out on social media. I posted about it. Thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you in the next one. And until then, no te asustes. Bye.